Janet and Phil from Media Support Group are wonderful to come here to the Virgin Islands and film this program for the American Bar Association General Practice Division Solo Small Firm Publications Board. This is our first ever Skype event for the Publications Board, and we're real excited to have Pat Cantrell. He's one of our authors. He wrote A State Federal Tax Procedure for Attorneys. And Rick Paskett, who's Deputy Director of the American Bar Association. He's got a long history in publishing. He's been with the ABA for about 13 years. Before that, he was with Dearborn Publishing. Rick, tell us a little bit about the process of ABA publishing.
Your path to fame and fortune begins in this room. And books are the path. And here is Melanie's book, which was done a few years ago, a very successful book in its third printing, which is very impressive. And the start of any book is the germ, the concept. And I put on all your chairs the book publication proposal form. And this is where you spell out your idea for the book, the scope of the book. This is the topic. This is the audience. This is how I think the structure of the book will be. The ABA, we are a mission-based publisher. Meaning is we're like every kind of legal publisher, with the exception is that we have a mission, and that's to serve practitioners. And we want to give our expertise, our knowledge on the day-to-day running of a law office, but your knowledge, and we want to convert that into a book. So this is the first step, is filling out the proposal form. Well, what happens after you do that? It goes to me, I give it the once-over, help you a little bit craft the proposal form, because I want the proposal to succeed, because I want the book to be published. Then the proposal goes to various book boards. In the case here, the General Practice Division has a book board where they vet all the proposals. We have a healthy discussion about the proposal, and like any legal publisher, we do the mathematics behind the proposal. What does that mean? Well, maybe the ABA is not-for-profit, but this arm of the ABA is for-profit. We want these books to make a lot of money, and we do a business case for each book, which we call the pro forma. And for the most part, each book the return on investment should be around 30%. So the idea is that the book is successful, and why do you want it to be successful? Because the more money the book makes, the more higher your royalty is. So you get a nice check every year. So that's the whole thing. The whole idea from the book board, from ABA Publishing, is to make your book successful. And a good example of this is Melanie. And Melanie, just tell us how you came up with the idea for HIPAA, how you executed a proposal, and how did you develop the manuscript?
The HIPAA subject is a big subject in the area of law. We had the health law section published a HIPAA book. Then what was the other section? The technology section?
Science and Technology.
Science and Technology also did a HIPAA security book, but there hadn't been one that was specifically for the general practitioner. Just about every practitioner has had some kind of HIPAA issue or another. So got this book, got all the forms, and the really good thing about this book is Rick calls it a handy dandy manual. Well, it has done very well. I'm very pleased with that. And it's also given me a lot of speaking opportunities, and it's really expanded my horizons as a professional. So it's really been a great opportunity for me. It's just been a pleasure, and Rick is very helpful. The good thing about putting your proposal to him, he's always there to answer your questions. You get a lot of support.
And let me make one point that Melanie just touched on. This book is for your own branding. Meaning is you become associated with the topic. And I think my smart authors are the ones who use the book to further their professional career. You become associated with the topic. It becomes your calling card. And what's nice about the ABA is you have the force of the ABA behind you. Meaning is media relations, CLE. You're really on front and center, and we all want to make your book succeed. But you will have more speaking engagements. The media relations people will have you on the short list as the experts in this particular field. So you yourself get a lot of branding from the book.
Are we ready to go to Brian? We've got Brian Kay. He is the head of ABA Publishing overall. He's been the head of ABA Publishing for the last 8 years.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet with you and to be part of the first Skype conference in ABA history. This is probably the most exciting time in the history of the ABA to be involved with publishing. Our leadership and the association has recognized the importance of publishing to the mission of the association and to our membership, and has begun investing in publishing in a way that we have never seen before. So what you will see very soon is a new digital media platform from which we'll be able to launch our content in any format we want, a new marketing group, a new commitment to e-commerce, and also a new publishing services group that combines all of the elements at the ABA in terms of content development so that we can achieve the best integration possible. So the really good news is that if you are an author for the ABA at this time, you'll get a better level of service, a better market exposure, and a better opportunity than you've ever had before.
Our goal as the ABA is service to the public and service to the profession. Do you think that the work we're doing with expanding our publishing arm fits in with that just perfectly?
Yes, I think one of the things that's really exciting about what we do and what really sets us apart is that we are a mission-based publisher. That gives us an identity that's distinctive from our commercial brethren. Gives us a singleness of purpose and a service to the profession that you just don't get anywhere else. And also, it gives us the focus and the commitment to expand publishing at a time when you look out across the publishing marketplace, and a lot of other publishers, even the more successful ones, are beginning to trim back their lists in terms of gaining efficiencies and cost savings. We're not doing that. We're seeking efficiencies and cost savings in other ways, but we're really seeking to expand our author base and to expand it into specialty areas that really have meaning to our membership and to the profession. So that is especially exciting and distinctive. If you are thinking about writing for the ABA, I would encourage you to step forward and join us. It's a great, great time.
Great. Thank you, Brian. We've got lots of support here, too. So thank you so much, Brian. Have a nice day. And next, we're going to go to Charlie Turbush. Brian was our head of ABA Publishing overall. He's like the big cheese. And now we're going to Charlie Turbush, who has an accounting background, and Charlie is the head of ABA Books. Charlie, tell us a little bit about your job and what you're doing with the ABA.
Well, right now with the ABA, I'm managing the Publishing Growth Initiative. Essentially what's happened is there's been kind of a realization based on analysis that we've done internally that the ABA needs to move toward a much more digital publishing platform.
It's an exciting time to be an ABA author, is that right?
It is an exciting time to be an ABA author. I think at this point what we're trying to do is to make sure that we continue creating the best possible kind of quality content that we have been creating within the ABA for many years, and also make that content even more valuable. One of the things that the digital publishing capability will let us do will be to obviously publish the books and whatever other content, books and periodical articles, more easily in electronic formats. It doesn't mean we do away with print. It means that we are actually much more effective and efficient at doing print, but that we in addition are able to offer books in electronic formats, either in HTML, in ebook formats, whatever format comes down the pike.
Well, great. We're so glad that you took time out of your Saturday to be here with us, and we've got a lot of young, eager faces, and we're hoping to get some new authors here today, and have a great rest of your Saturday, Charlie. And next we're going to go to Pat Cantrell. Pat, would you tell us a little bit about your publishing experience with the ABA?
Well, Melanie, thanks, first of all. Mine is sort of an unusual story in that I came to be a published author through a circuitous route. About 12 years ago, I started putting together a series of outlines for my staff on tax procedural topics. And over the years, the stack grew and grew and grew. And finally, the thought occurred to me, why don't I just compile these in some kind of a manuscript form, and maybe someday I'll be a published author, if I can find a publisher. Well, of course, I've known Melanie Bragg for a long time, and we visit all the time, and she would periodically tell me, look, I'm at the ABA Book Publishing Company. Although I'm on the board, we're constantly looking for authors. Can you come up with anybody who might be interested in becoming an author? And I said, okay, sure. Well, went down the road, and then it occurred to me a couple of weeks later, no, wait a minute, is there something wrong with this picture? I'm sitting here with a compiled manuscript in search of a publisher. My friend Melanie is associated with a publisher in search of authors. So the light bulb went off, and I called Melanie and said, do you think we could make this work? She said, yeah, call my friend Rick. So called Rick. Rick says, here's what let's do. Work up a table of contents and send me a sample chapter. So I did. Called him up a couple of weeks later. Well, what do you think, Rick? Rick says, well, I run it by the powers that be, and it's a go. And by then I was scared to death. What do I do now? Well, the process was actually easier than you might imagine. You know, I don't ever envision that book being at the top of the New York Times bestseller list, nor do I envision myself becoming the next Ernest Hemingway. But this has been one of the most professionally rewarding experiences of my entire life. And another thing, the royalty checks are nice too.
Agreed.
Coming from a CPA, that's a high praise. And next we're going to be talking to Joan Berta. We got her close. Joan Berta is one of our outstanding ABA authors, and tell us about the book at how you won the Benjamin Franklin Award at the New York Book Expo.
There was actually an envelope, and they said, opened it up and said the winner is, and announced my book, and I went up to accept. And the first thing I thought of was, and what I told the audience was, it just goes to show you that well, what I was going to say and I didn't was that sex sells. What I did say was, I was the author of the first book the ABA published with sex in the title. But I received an email from a woman who told me that she was planning to stop practicing law because she found it completely unappealing and didn't feel that she was making any difference to anyone. And then she read my book, and she said as a result of reading my book, she found her niche and she was going to stay in practice. And that was an incredible experience. That I don't know this woman, I've never heard from her since, but for someone to tell you something you have written has touched them in such a way that it's a life-changing experience. It's humbling and it's sobering. When you're writing something, you have to believe in it. If it is something you're passionate about, don't write the book.
Now, having been a 2-time ABA book author, are you branching out into other areas of writing?
I'm thinking about some areas. I haven't quite settled on anything at all. In addition, because of the books, I teach at Ursuline College. I teach at Case Western Reserve University School of Law, and I get invited around the country to speak, which is pretty cool.
Okay, so there's some advantages to being an ABA author.
Absolutely, absolutely. People look to you for your background, and I don't want to say expertise, say that in Ohio, but for the concentration I have in a specific area. I get calls from MSNBC, from CNN reporters, from Lawyers Weekly reporters, asking me for my input on articles that work that they're doing, and that's always interesting.
Well, thanks so much for spending your time on Saturday afternoon with us, and we really appreciate you being with us.
The rewards you get from being an ABA book publishing author are not all monetary. Let me read you an email that I received last summer after my book had been out about a year. This fellow, I don't know how he got my email address. It was not in the book. He says, "Dear Mr. Cantrell, thank you very much for the book that will help thousands and thousands of practitioners. I am an enrolled agent. I do quite a few representations every year, and your book is a great help to me. I'm enjoying every page of it. Very truly yours, Vladimir Turkletov."
I remember when I got my first call on the HIPAA book, and a guy had called me from Pennsylvania, and he says, "You know, I actually used some of your forms in one of my cases and wanted to talk to you about it." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And he says, "Yes, and I want to pay you. What is your fee?" And I said, No, you don't have to pay me. No. I mean, I was so excited to get to help somebody, because when he hung up, I was like, oh my gosh, something I did in this little book, it actually helped somebody. And for me, that was just a great feeling. I've also gotten some other feelings like that just about from different people who've read it. When the judge from California wrote a review that appeared in the Colorado Lawyer magazine, and it was my very first book review, and it was like everything that I would have dreamed about saying. It was everything that I would have sat down and said, this is why I'm doing this, this is what I want to communicate, and somebody had gotten that. I mean, just the mere feeling that something that you communicate is understood and heard and used by other people, it's this a feeling beyond. I guess that means I'm a true writer, because that is kind of does it for me. So there's a lot of give and take, there's a lot of sharing, and there's a lot of receiving, and it's just a fun process.